Hello guys, welcome back to John's Workshop. This is episode 8 and I'm going to call this episode Whiteboard Woes, and that will become apparent what that means as we go through the episode. So apologies, there's no real engineering work in this episode. It's just really a quick update on what I've been doing in the shop, and also a little bit about the whiteboard, and we're going to do a bit of design work around the whiteboard as well, in terms of the crane, the overhead crane that I showed in the previous video, and about some sort of design work that I've had rough ideas about how I'm going to position the crane on the girder, or on the girders, and then we'll work through the sort of design work of that and see how that looks, and I welcome any feedback from anybody. So we'll move down and have a look at the temporary bench in a minute, and I'll take you through some of the whiteboard woes that I've had. It's a bit of a disappointing story really, but I'll take you through that, and then we'll move to the whiteboard, and I'll take you through the design, and then I'll go sort of a quick walk around the shop and show you what I've been up to. You should be able to see, hopefully behind me, that the window is now well and truly gone. You know, it's been bricked up, and I've been busy this weekend boarding out the rest of the workshop. So all the boarding out's now done, which is great. It's taken far longer than I expected, and I think I made the mistake in an earlier episode of saying that the pillars and the sort of the corners in the, you know, where the pillars are in the corner, would be the easy bit to do. Wrong, they're the most difficult bit, because everything was out of plumb and out of square, so I was having to make little tiny bits of wood, all different thicknesses, just to try and make a neat job in the end. But anyway, it's all done now, which is good, which means I can now move on and start getting some paint and some electrics in. So I'll come back to the bench, and we'll have a look at the whiteboard stuff. So here we are guys, at the temporary bench. I'm drinking orange Guinness today. Driving tomorrow, so no drinks for John today, but never mind, we'll stick with orange. Cheers. So what's happening with the whiteboard? Well, anybody who's worked with whiteboards in a workplace at least will know there's only two types of marker pen that you can find at a whiteboard. There's the carefully misplaced or strategically placed, depending on the colleagues that you work with, Sharpie pen, and you can guarantee that any Sharpie pen within 10 feet of a whiteboard always works, and you'll always make a fool of yourself in front of your colleagues as you ramble on and scribble all over the whiteboard, only to find that you can't wipe that off when you're finished. So that's the one type. The second type of pen that you'll get at a whiteboard, in a workplace at least, is a standard whiteboard marker, and every single one of them is the same. They've got a nib the size of a 10p piece. They're multicoloured, and none of them work for whatever reason. So you'll have seen in a previous episode I got the whiteboard prematurely up on the wall, and it was time to, you know, I ordered some pens so that I've got some decent pens for use on the whiteboard. So I was having a look online, and usual thing, you know, there's everything from pence per pen up to £20 per pen by some chancer who's hoping that someone's going to click by mistake. So I thought, well, shall I buy the cheap ones? You know, they're going to be stored out here in the shop, it's cold, it's damp, or shall I buy, you know, spend a bit more money and buy something a bit better quality? So it's John's Workshop after all, so I thought, well, a bit of quality, we'll go for a name that I've heard of. So I sort of went through all the options, and we came up with this, which is Bic, and they're quite a fine point. And I thought, yep, I heard of them. We'll go for that. They're a little bit more expensive, and we'll see how we go. Well, unfortunately, as we tried to use them, and it's a brand new whiteboard, so you know, there's nothing wrong with the whiteboard, and it's had a good degrease, so I know it's not the whiteboard that's the issue. As I started to use the pens, it was evident fairly quickly that they're not a lot of use, unfortunately. Some of the colours work better than others, but certainly the black and the blue, you need to be going over the line several times, rubbing them, remarking them. So yeah, very disappointed really. And don't want this to become a product review, but you know, if you're listening, Vic, or watching, rubbish. Stick to making them. So we'll move on to the whiteboard now, and I'll show you the design work that I've done around the crane, and we'll have a bit of a talk through that, and hopefully if I get any feedback that'll be good, because I might be completely barking up the wrong tree with what I'm thinking about here, so any feedback welcome. So here we are, guys, focusing on the board, and I've done another CAD drawing, and it's crappy pen aided design this time. So two things. I'll discuss the crane options in a moment, but the first thing is I need to do a correction. Sawlogs Plastic Hubs, Jim Deadman, I mistakenly in the last episode said he was based in Northern Ireland, and he absolutely isn't. He's based in the US, so apologies, Jim. Got that wrong. It must have been somebody else that Aid was talking about on his channel that I got mixed up with. So so that's Jim. That's just a correction on what I got wrong last time. So if we now look at the design, ignore the bottom bit, that was just some of my disappointment being shared there. So this is kind of a cross-sectional view of what I'm thinking. So RSJ there, and I've ordered some 40 by 40 by 3 mil thick angle iron. I've ordered about 30 meters of that, and most of that's going to go building a bench down the bottom end of the workshop, but I've ordered enough spare. So my thinking is a completely bolted design, and probably you'll see when I construct the bench, which will be welded, that my welding skills leave a lot to be desired, really, and probably would be perfectly well at home on top of the town hall underneath the rest of the pigeons. So I've decided that to go for a bolted design, because it's going to be load bearing, and at least that way I can see the joints. I know they're strong, and I'm not reliant on some weld that may not be as strong as it should be. So I'm thinking this will be sort of 300 millimeters long in total, so probably three M12 studs down the length of the thing, through 2 sets of this angle iron bolted from both sides, which will stop any tipping movement, so that it can't tip under load. Some 50 by 50 box section with the bolts running through into the crane unit, and access to tighten those bolts will be from the end down the end of the tube. And then this whole thing is just all bolted together, and at any point if I want to remove it, and I can move it from one girder to the second girder that's in the garage, all I've got to do is undo the three bolts, the 3 studs, take the thing apart, and I can take the whole thing down, move it around the workshop, take it down, service it, whatever. So that was the thinking. I think that will be strong enough for 250 kilograms, which is all the crane's rated to, more than strong enough. I think from a design perspective it will do what I want it to do, but again, I'll welcome any feedback. So that's kind of the latest thinking on the crane. So what I'll do now is I'll move the camera, spin you around, and show you some of the stuff that I've been doing in the workshop, the boarding out, and I've also done a second coat of paint on the girders, and I've got both of them painted now. So we'll just spin you around and show you that. So there you go, guys. They look a lot better now. That's both girders painted. The front one's had all the coats of paint it's going to have, and the rear one has had 1 coat of paint and will need a second coat in a week or so's time. But they're looking much better now. You'll see the boarding out there, so that's where the window was at the end. That's all fully boarded, and I've boarded the pillars as well in the corner, and they were the bits that were taking the time. And I've also boarded out the sort of pillars, the support pillars that are down the wall of the workshop on both sides. So that's all fully now boarded out, ready for paint, which I've already got. So it's good, it's progress, things are moving on well. So this is going to be a short episode. I'm just going to go and fetch West out for a bit of a wander around the workshop. So we'll see if we can get a bit of footage of West today, and then I think that'll be it for this week. Right, we've got West in the garage, only with biscuits. It's the only way we can keep him still long enough. Say hello. Yeah, go on then, you can have a biscuit. What do you think to them? You want another one? Say hello. Don't say hello then. There you go. That's West. That's about as much as you're going to get. He's off again. So that's it for this week, guys. Sorry it's been a short episode. I'm really pressing on trying to get as much done as I can, as quick as I can, with all of the boarding out and everything, and so I can get the electrics in, and it's starting to look a lot better now. It's starting to look like a workshop at least. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thank you to my new subscribers, and we'll see you on the next episode.